dust floating through afternoon light. Inside the UCD shop, you picked up an old album and laughed when you saw the price sticker. Your cracked white iPod still works somehow, even though the screen flickered. Every time you change songs, you handed me one earbud, and suddenly an old love song played, the same one we listened to constantly during the summer by the river. Outside the store, spring wind moved through the shopping street. But inside my chest, everything rewound instantly. You used to sing lyrics wrong on purpose, then laugh when I corrected you. Back then, even boring days felt important somehow. We walked slowly through narrow aisles, reading album covers silently. Your shoulder brushing mine sometimes, like nothing had changed at all. But nostalgia's dangerous like that. It makes old feelings sound beautiful, even the painful parts. You asked, do you ever miss those days while staring at the CDs without looking at me directly? I wanted to answer honestly, to tell you I missed everything. The music, the city, the version of us back then. But instead I just smiled lightly, like memories didn't still hurt. Now whenever old songs start playing in random stores or cafes, I feel spring return for a second, along with your voice beside me. Rain falling over the highway, wipers moving back and forth slowly. You drove with one hand on the wheel, the other resting beside the gear shift. Street lights blurred through the windshield, orange reflections on wet asphalt. The whole expressway looked endless, like we could disappear forever. At the service area, we bought terrible coffee from the machine. Your hoodie damp from the rain, steam rising to cold night air. Truck driver smoked under fluorescent lights. Some late night radio played softly nearby. Everything felt cinematic in that lonely kind of way. You said, let's just keep driving, and honestly I almost agreed. But immediately, no destination, no real plan, just two tired people escaping Tokyo at 2 a.m. in the rain. Inside the car, your playlist filled the silence. Old songs we overplayed last summer, back when things still felt easy. You smiled for the first time all night while eating convenience store snacks. And suddenly I remembered why I fell in love with you. The rain got heavier after midnight, covering the windows completely, making the whole world outside disappear. Now every highway service area feels strangely emotional, like somewhere out there that version of us is still driving. Cardboard boxes near the doorway, your sandals still on the balcony. An empty apartment echoing softly while afternoon sunlight filled the room. The big blue IKEA bag sat beside the kitchen table, full of random little things we forgot to divide properly. Old movie tickets, phone chargers, half-used candles, without us, like love itself had moved out already. Later you stood on the balcony, looking at the evening sky, your hair moving in the wind while I memorized the shape of you there. Some breakups happened dramatically, but ours sounded more like cardboard boxes dragging across wooden floors on a warm spring afternoon. Now every empty apartment feels strangely familiar, like part of our life still lives inside those white walls. We climbed the emergency stairs quietly, sneaking into the rooftop before sunrise. The whole city still half asleep, blue light covering every building. You shared one Bluetooth earbud with me, a soft playlist playing between us, wind moving through your hair slowly while Tokyo glowed underneath convenience store coffee and cold hands. Your oversized hoodie smelled like rain. You talked about leaving the city someday, like it was already decided. I asked where you wanted to go. You pointed somewhere far away, past the buildings, past the trains, past everything we already knew. The sky slowly turned orange, birds started appearing above the station, and for a second everything felt possible. You laughed while fixing your messy hair, then looked at me suddenly serious. What if we disappear someday? You asked like it was a joke, but something about your voice made my chest feel tight. Below us, morning train started moving again. Tiny people walking to work like another normal weekday beginning. Meanwhile, we stayed frozen there between night and morning, too young to understand how fast life actually changes. Now every sunrise over Tokyo feels a little lonely, like part of me still exists on that rooftop beside you. You cut your hair last weekend. Now it barely touches your shoulders. Everyone says you look different, but somehow you look more like yourself. Late afternoon outside the station, wind moving through your short hair, silver earrings catching sunlight while you smile like nothing changed. But everything changed a little. You used to hide behind long sleeves, long hair covering half your face. Now you walk faster somehow, like you stopped being afraid to be seen. We sat near the river afterward, iced coffee sweating on the table. You asked quietly, does it really suit me? And honestly, I almost forgot to answer, because you look beautiful in that effortless kind of way, like summer arriving suddenly after too much rain. Your shampoo still smells the same, your laugh still gets too loud sometimes, but there's something lighter about you now, like you finally let something go. Street lights turned on above us, cars moving slowly after sunset. You tucked your short hair behind your ear while music leaked from your AirPods. I wanted to tell you then that I was falling for you all over again, but moments like that are dangerous, too real to say out loud. Now every time the wind blows, I think about that evening, you standing under fading light with your new short hair moving softly. Maybe that's how love starts sometimes, not with dramatic words, just noticing someone differently on an ordinary day in summer. summer. Last summer feels stuck inside my room somehow, like heat that never fully disappeared. I still remember your white t-shirt hanging from the balcony, moving slowly in the evening wind while music played from your iPhone speaker. We stayed awake too late every night, watching random YouTube videos, laughing at things that weren't even funny just because we were together. Convenience store ice cream melting too fast, your cold hand against my arm, fireworks somewhere far away, and trains passing through the dark. You always wanted to walk at night, even with nowhere to go. So we wandered through quiet streets, talking about impossible futures. You said you wanted to leave someday. Different city, different life, somewhere near the ocean, maybe. I remember the exact way you looked under vending machine lights, hair slightly wet from humidity, eyes reflecting blue and white. Back then, everything felt unfinished, like summer itself will continue forever. We share one pair of AirPods on almost every train ride, your playlist slowly becoming mine without either of us noticing. Sometimes you fell asleep beside me before the movie even started, your head on my shoulder, breathing softly like the world was peaceful. Now, another summer is starting again, but the streets feel different somehow. The air is the same temperature, yet everything feels quieter. I passed the old Riverwalk yesterday, couples sitting where we used to, and for one second I almost expected to see you there. Funny how memories work, you never realize a moment matters until it becomes something you replay alone at night. Last summer still follows me in songs, in warm wind, in convenience store lights after sunset. And sometimes when evening comes, I still miss you so suddenly, like the season itself never learned how to let you go. Morning train on the Emerald line, everybody staring at their phones. Gray sky above Tokyo, coffee breath and sleepy faces everywhere. You used to text me constantly, tiny updates all day long. Photos of lunch, screenshots of songs, random thoughts before sleeping. Now our chat feels colder, short replies, long pauses, half-finished conversations at Shinjuku Station. People move like waves around me, meanwhile I stood still, reading your unfinished message again. Maybe we should cherry blossoms above the sidewalk. You walked out of Taya slowly, holding old romance movies in your arms. You laughed at the dramatic covers while fixing your hair in the window reflection. I pretended to browse magazines just to stay near you longer. The cashier looked half asleep, late night radio playing softly somewhere. Spring evenings in Tokyo always felt a little lonely. You asked if I wanted coffee before going home. I answered too quickly, and you smiled without looking at me. We sat near the river afterward, talking about random little things. Movies we loved, songs we hated, places we wanted to escape to someday. But honestly, I barely heard the conversation, because I was too busy memorizing the sound of your voice. Pink petals landed on your sleeves, the city lights reflected on the water. Everything looked temporary in the prettiest way possible. First love feels strange like that. One ordinary night suddenly becomes something you replay forever. Now, whenever spring air feels warm, or I pass an old rental store, I still think about you, walking beside me slowly under cherry blossoms. Cold air in the parking lot, Boston lights glowing after midnight. You bought corn soup from the vending machine. I held a black coffee I barely drank. Your hands stayed inside your sleeves. Mine stayed buried in my pockets. Cars passed slowly on the wet road, splashing rainwater across the asphalt. We talked about random things first, work, stress, music, a friend moving away soon. Both of us pretending there wasn't something heavier underneath. You leaned against the guardrail quietly, steam rising near your face. Your jacket smelled like cigarettes and fabric softener. Then suddenly you asked, do you think people change naturally? Like it was casual, but I knew it wasn't. I laughed softly instead of answering, watching headlights reflect in puddles. The whole parking lot shimmered silver under fluorescent lights. Some couple walked past us, sharing one umbrella together, and somehow that felt sadder than the rain itself. You finished the soup slowly, then looked up at the cloudy sky. I miss how things used to feel. You said almost silently, I wanted to stop the night right there before goodbye became real, before we turned into memories, standing outside a convenience store. Now every winter parking lot feels a little haunted somehow, like part of my youth still lives beside you there. Rain outside the subway window, people rushing with umbrellas. Your message still unopened, while my sandwich slowly gets cold. Footlong cut in half, iced coffee and extra veggies. AirPods playing soft pop songs while I study English alone. Same seat near the glass, every afternoon lately. Watching traffic lights change colors, like time moving without asking me. You used to sit across from me, stealing fries and laughing quietly. Now it's just my iPhone screen, lighting up the empty table. Lunch break disappearing slowly, plastic cups and paper wrappers. Small conversations in the background, mixing with the sound of rain. I write random words in my notes at places I still wanna see someday. Sometimes outside the window, school uniforms pass by. Someone running through the crosswalk, trying not to get soaked. Everything feels temporary lately, even familiar places, even songs I used to love, even us. But still there's something comforting about sitting here alone, with cheap coffee and quiet music. Lunch break almost over, I throw the wrappers away. One last look at our old chat, then lock my phone again. Rain still falling softly against the subway window, and somewhere inside the noise I still hear your voice a little. Tiny apartment balcony, cold wind after midnight. You stood there smoking quietly, wrapped inside my oversized sweater. Inside the room, laundry hung near the heater. Your Netflix profile still glowing softly across the dark television screen. You talked about moving away like it was just another idea, but I heard sadness hiding under every careful word. Cars move slowly below us, deep night radio from another apartment. Tokyo glowing endlessly, like the city never needed sleep. You touched my hand once, then looked away immediately. Some feelings become obvious without ever being spoken aloud. Spring always felt dangerous somehow, like everything changed too quickly. Warm air arriving suddenly before people are ready for it. Your cigarette smoke drifted upward, mixing with cold night air. And I remember thinking how temporary everything looked. You told me maybe people meet at the wrong time, then laugh quietly afterward, like you regretted saying it. I wanted to tell you to stay forever, to stop talking about leaving, to choose me completely. But instead we stood there silently, listening to traffic far below us and songs from somebody else's room. Eventually you went back inside, folding laundry like normal, while I stayed on the balcony alone, watching spring move through the city. Now every midnight apartment light feels strangely nostalgic to me, like somewhere out there another version of us still exists. Bullet train doors closing slowly, cold air moving through the station. You held my sleeve tightly, like distance could still be stopped somehow. The departure melody played softly. People rushed around us endlessly, but everything sounded underwater, except your breathing beside me. Long distance love feels strange, too much waiting, too many countdowns for moments that disappear too fast. You smile while trying not to cry, outside the window. Spring rain covered the city. Your reflection faded softly as the train prepared to leave. We bought coffee from 7-Eleven, too nervous to drink it. Your suitcase beside your shoes, like proof this was really happening. You asked quietly, when do you think we'll meet again? And I answered too casually, like acting calm could save us. The train doors closed between us, bright lights reflecting on the platform. You pressed your hand to the glass for one small second. Then slowly you disappeared into movement, steel tracks and rainy scenery, carrying you away from me. I stayed there after everything ended, watching empty rails silently, like the station itself still expected you back. Now every Shinkansen platform feels colder than before, and every departure melody still sounds a little like heartbreak. Warm wind near the river, cherry blossoms moving slowly. You walked into the rental video store like a scene from an old movie. You picked romance films ironically, laughing at dramatic covers. I kept pretending to browse just to stay near you longer. The cashier looked half asleep. The radio played in the background. Spring evenings in Tokyo always felt a little lonely. You asked if I wanted coffee after returning the movies. I said yes too quickly, and you laughed quietly. We walked beside the river afterward, talking about random things, but my heart kept replaying every tiny movement you made. First love feels embarrassing like that. Small moments become everything, and suddenly one person starts living inside your thoughts. Pink petals stuck to your sleeve, streetlights reflected on the water. You kept talking about movies while I barely heard the words. I was too distracted by the sound of your laughter and the way spring air moved through your hair. The city smelled like rain and flowers, bicycles passing beside us slowly. Everything ordinary somehow felt unbelievably important. Even now, years later, whenever spring nights feel warm, I still think about that video store and the version of me who loved you. Midday, rain and morning, fog on the apartment window. You text me 5 more minutes before getting ready for work. Coffee from 7-Eleven, your hoodie smelled like soft and herb. Blue station lights on your face while Tokyo moved outside. Tuesday late subway ride, one AirPod between sleep after overtime. Wednesday night, video call, Netflix paused halfway again. Through the iPhone speakers, I heard your quiet breathing. Blue light filled my bedroom at almost 3 a.m. I stayed awake a little longer just to hear your voice. Thursday after sudden rain, Shibuya crossing glowing silver. You ran through puddles laughing, sneakers splashing under neon lights. Friday midnight taxi ride, all pop songs on the radio. Your hand touched mine once, then stayed there quietly. Street lights crossed your face, orange and blue through the window. You smiled without looking at me, like you already knew everything. Saturday near the river, McDonald's fries getting cold, summer wind around us while you talked about leaving Tokyo someday. I watched the water instead, pretending I wasn't already in love. Sunday sunset near the station, your head resting on my shoulder. I hate tomorrow mornings, you whispered softly, but weeks change fast, 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 Monday unread messages, Tuesday cold replies, Wednesday empty cafe, our old playlist playing again. Thursday midnight driving, rain covering the windshield. You asked, do people naturally grow apart? Friday convenience store lights, corn soup warm in your hands, cold wind through the parking lot while silence filled the space between us. Saturday after the breakup, even Shibuya felt too loud. Everybody moving normally while my whole world felt different. Sunday spring evening, cherry blossoms near the station. An ordinary week together, still repeating inside my memory. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every day still sounds like you. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Tokyo keeps replaying us. Sunday night again, your old voice now playing softly before another week began. You keep fixing your hair, checking your phone every minute, pretending you don't care, but everybody already knows. Your friends laugh beside you while you stare out the window, acting calm on the outside with fireworks inside your chest. You say, what if he doesn't feel the same? Then immediately change the subject, like the question scares you too much. But listen, you look happiest whenever his name appears, like sunlight suddenly reaching your face without warning. So go tell him life moves too fast for maybe someday, too fast for unsent messages, too fast for waiting forever inside your own thoughts. You deserve a love that feels exciting and peaceful, late night calls, long walks, someone genuinely happy to see you. And honestly, he'd probably smile if he knew. You keep replaying tiny moments, the way he looked at you yesterday, how your hands almost touched while reaching for the same thing. Meanwhile, the whole world keeps moving, trains leave the station, seasons changing quietly, summer becoming autumn again. Don't let fear make the decision for you. Maybe nothing changes, maybe everything changes, but either way, at least your heart gets to breathe honestly. You spent too long hiding your feelings behind jokes, behind just whatever, behind pretending not to care. But love isn't embarrassing, wanting someone isn't weakness, and your feelings don't become smaller just because you keep them secret. So wear the outfit you feel pretty in, play the songs that make you brave, take one deep breath and stop overthinking every little detail, because one day you'll laugh about how nervous you were, and maybe someday you'll sit beside him somewhere crossing after rain. Hundreds of umbrellas moving, everyone rushing somewhere, except me. I check my phone again, still no reply from you. Traffic lights changing colors like they were mocking me. Music leaked from somebody's headphones, cars reflected on wet streets. Tokyo looks cinematic in the saddest way possible. You used to call me every single night. Now I stare at scene notifications like they mean everything. The giant screen above the crossing played another YouTube ad. People laughed beside me, but the city felt empty. Funny how loneliness works, even surrounded by crowds. One missing message can change an entire night. Rainwater soaked through my sneakers, cold wind moving through buildings. Some couple nearby shared an umbrella while I pretended not to look. I opened our old chat again, scrolling through winter conversations, tiny jokes and blurry photos from nights that felt endless. The crosswalk lights turn green again. People float around me endlessly, but I stayed standing still, like I was waiting for something impossible. Maybe heartbreak in big cities looks quieter than movies. Just one person alone in Shibuya, refreshing a screen over and over. I loved you, I really did. Even now, I still remember the way your voice sounded late at night. But maybe we just don't work anymore. Not because somebody cheated, not because we hated each other, just little things slowly breaking until love started feeling heavy. We had good moments too, summer nights without plans, laughing too loudly in empty streets, sharing one pair of headphones on late trains. I still remember all of it, the songs we played too many times, the streets we always walked together, window reflections beside each other, your hand pulling on my sleeve softly. Back then I thought those nights would last forever. But lately every conversation turns into silence, every small misunderstanding grows larger, and even being together feels lonely somehow. You noticed it too, I could tell by the way you looked away whenever we talked about the future. Maybe love isn't always enough, maybe caring about someone deeply doesn't automatically mean you can stay beside them forever. That truth hurts more than I expected. Now certain songs feel dangerous, certain places feel impossible to visit, because everything still carries pieces of you. The crossing near the station, the river walk at sunset, cold air during evening train rides, all of it still sounds like us. I loved you, and honestly, part of me probably always will. But I think we both know now we can't keep pretending things are okay just because we're afraid to say goodbye. Sometimes ending something is kinder than forcing it to survive. Even if it hurts, even if I still wanna call you, doesn't always fail dramatically. Sometimes it just quietly becomes memory while life keeps moving forward around it. So if someday you hear our old song somewhere or walk through streets we used to know, I hope you smile a little, not because we stay together, but because for a while we really loved each other. Morning light inside the airport, rolling suitcases everywhere. You try smiling normally, like this wasn't breaking us apart. At the departure gate, your fingers stayed inside mine longer than usual, like time could stretch somehow. We bought coffee from 7-Eleven, too early to be awake. You left and said, don't make this dramatic, but your eyes look different, soft and almost afraid. And suddenly the whole airport felt too bright and cold. Announcements echoed above us, people leaving for somewhere new. But all I could think about was distance becoming real. You fixed your hair nervously, watching airplanes through the glass. Morning clouds moving slowly above the runway lights. You said we'll probably be okay, but your voice sounded fragile, like even you didn't believe it. I memorized tiny details, your oversized gray hoodie, your tired smile, your hands hiding in the sleeves. Then your boarding group was called and everything started moving too fast. One last hug, one last wave. You disappeared past the gate without looking back again. And honestly, a part of me left with you. Street lights shining on the wet road, you walking slower than before. Laundry spinning at the laundromat, 2 a.m. and nobody talking. Your hoodie smell like cigarette smoke, mine smell like fabric softener. Outside the windows, rainwater moved like silver lines. We fought about something stupid, now neither of us remembers what, but silence felt heavier than all the words before it. You stared at your reflection inside the dryer door. I watched your tired eyes, pretending not to miss you already. The neon on your cheeks, coffee can in your cold hands. Tokyo after rain, always look beautiful with you. The vending machine buzzed softly, a train passed somewhere nearby. Everything felt suspended between staying and leaving. You asked quietly, do you think people get tired of love? I laughed like it was nothing, but honestly I was scared too. Your phone screen lit up your face, tiny drops of rain on your sleeves. I wanted to hold your hand again, something stopped me. Maybe heartbreak starts like this, not dramatic, not loud, just two people growing distant under fluorescent midnight lights. Even now when rain falls late at night, I slow down near laundromats. ice cream on a summer afternoon. The closer I get to you, the faster time seems to move. We met with no real plans, just walking through the heat. You're laughing with sunlight in your eyes, making ordinary days feel sweet. Vanilla on your fingertips, strawberry on your smile. You said you should try this one, and suddenly I stayed a little longer. Love felt easy back then, like ice cream after school, like warm wind through open windows, like having nowhere important to be. You melt like ice cream, soft around the edges, impossible to hold forever, no matter how carefully I try. We sat on a low wall, watching people pass by, talking about places we'd visit someday, as if summer would never end. But seasons always change. The afternoons got shorter, the messages got slower, and somewhere between then and now we became memories instead of plans. Still, I remember the little things, the way you always chose two flavors, the way you stole bites from mine, the way your eyes lit up before you even took the first taste. Funny how love is like ice cream sometimes, sweet while it lasts, messy if you hold on too tightly, gone faster than you expect, yet somehow worth it every time. Now every summer when I'm passing an ice cream shop, part of me goes back there, sunlight to laughter, to sticky hands and easy conversations, to the version of us that thought forever was a real place. You melt like ice cream, but maybe that was never the problem. Maybe the beauty was always that we knew it wouldn't last, and loved it anyway. Empty highway before sunrise, blue-gray Tokyo skyline, Oasis playing softly from the speakers, low enough to almost disappear. You stared out the passenger window, drawing shapes into the fog, like your thoughts already lived somewhere far away from me. Street lights passed rhythmically, one after another endlessly, neither of us saying much, but silence explained enough. The argument from earlier still lingered between cold coffee cans and cigarette smoke. I wanted to fix everything somehow, but didn't know where to start. You asked quietly, do people really change? I laughed casually, even though it scared me. The whole city looks suspended between night and morning, and somewhere on that highway I think we quietly ended. Not dramatically, not loudly, just slowly fading apart before sunrise reached us. Laundry moving near the window, afternoon sunlight on white walls, coffee smell filling the apartment, everything soft and quiet. Your favorite Uniqlo hoodie still hanging near the doorway, like you might suddenly come back after work tonight. You left tiny sticky notes everywhere, don't forget your lunch. Text me when you get home, small things that somehow matter most. Convenience store dinners after midnight, sharing one blanket in winter, watching random TV together, falling asleep halfway through movies. No luxury, no perfect future plans, just two tired people in Tokyo trying to survive together. I didn't know happiness could look this ordinary until silence replaced it completely. Now the apartment echoes differently, too clean and too quiet, and every little object here still remembers you somehow. Windows open near the ocean, saw air filling the car. Your white Nike sneakers on the dashboard, music way too loud. You danced at every red light without caring who watched. Summer made everything feel endless, like consequences didn't exist. We bought melting ice cream near the beach after sunset. Orange light on your cheeks when moving through your hair. You talked about leaving Tokyo someday, living somewhere slower and warmer. I listened quietly beside you, pretending it didn't scare me. Young love always feels permanent right before it disappears. That's probably why summer hurts more after it ends. Now every late night drive near the ocean feels nostalgic immediately, like part of my youth still lives there with you. And sometimes when warm wind blows through open car windows, I still hear your laughter mixed into the sound of waves. Coffee getting cold beside my hands, rain outside the cafe window. I was supposed to be working, but your old playlist started suddenly. Then Oasis came on softly, and the whole room changed instantly. Your silver headphones, your sleepy winter face, your hand pulling my hoodie sleeve. You used to dance inside Starbucks lines while waiting for your drink, ignoring everyone around us like embarrassment didn't exist. The city outside kept moving fast, people crossing intersections endlessly, but inside my headphones time completely stopped. Music is dangerous like that. One song can reopen everything. One melody can bring someone back years after they disappear. I stared at the empty seat across from me, pretending not to miss you again. But honestly, some memories never really leave. Now every cafe near the station feels slightly haunted somehow, like your voice still exists between conversations and coffee steam. Rain falling softly on the sidewalk, your clear umbrella hitting my shoulder. We stopped at Family Mart again, even though neither of us needed anything. Hot snacks near the register, steam floating into cold night air. You laughed while warming your hands on a paper cup of cafe latte. The streets looked silver after midnight, taxi lights stretching across puddles. Tokyo felt strangely quiet, like the city already knew. You kept fixing your wet hair, looking down at your phone too much, and I kept pretending not to notice the distance growing slowly. music leaking quietly between silence. You said maybe we both changed a little. Want me to stop